Namaskar everybody and welcome to the Geeta Satsang today. So let us get started with the Prarthana. By the Guru's grace and the will of Shri Krishna, we have all assembled for this Geeta Satsang. May we have their guidance to be able to learn and adopt the things which will help us to grow spiritually. Let us chant the shlokas together. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnaya Vasudevaya Haraye Paramatmane Pranatah Kleshanashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namostu Te Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pullara Vindayata Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः रामानुजदया पात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्म व्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये. So with prayers at the lotus feet of the Acharyas, let us get started with our shloka for today. So in the last satsang, we had seen up to the 46th shloka. Today we will take up shloka number 47, which is the most famous, we can say, shloka that everybody knows from the Bhagavad Gita. People often quote this shloka and it is very commonly used, although the usage may not be in the exact sense as what Lord Krishna intended it to be. But anyway, it gives us some kind of a meaning, at least even when people use it in a common way. So the 47th shloka of the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita says, Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbhur ma te sangostva karmani. So we have heard this shloka very many times. And the meaning of that, we understand. What does it try to convey to us? So Krishna is telling Arjuna, you have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled, you have no right to the fruits of your actions. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities, nor be attached to inaction. So what is it? Now Krishna has been trying to tell Arjuna that you should be fighting. This is Dharma Yuddha. It is your duty as a Kshatriya to fight. So he's been trying to give him different reasons and explanations. Now he comes to this important shloka where he tells Arjuna what should be the attitude with which Arjuna performs the shloka. So here we saw in the previous two shlokas that Krishna was telling Arjuna that Vedas, indeed, whatever is in the Vedas is what I have told. So it is my wish that is expressed in the Vedas. But you are not supposed to take everything that is told in the Vedas at face value. You have to choose that which is appropriate for you, depending on the particular guna which is predominant in you. So now there is an unspoken question in Arjuna's mind that, okay, Krishna, you are telling that I should not take everything from the Vedas. Then who is going to decide what part is to be taken and what is to be left? Shall I only decide? Can I decide about what to take and what to leave? And how do I decide that? So Krishna answers, and in answer to that unspoken question, he says this shloka. So what is Krishna telling Arjuna? We can break up the shloka into four parts. So first he tells him, you have only the adhikara, you have the right to do karma, to perform action. Then you have adhikara to do karma, but you have no adhikara to expect any phala from that. No expectation of the outcome from the action that you are doing. You should not expect that outcome. Thirdly, he tells him, Do not also think you are doing an action, there is some phalam which is coming out of the action, but do not think that you are the cause of that outcome. So if all this is to be done, then it is very difficult. So doing the action, not expecting any outcome, not thinking that I am not responsible for the outcome is so very difficult. So Arjuna says that fine, then I will, instead of doing all these difficult things, I will not do the action itself. That's what he's trying to say here, that he does want to fight. So Krishna is telling him that although all this ABC are there, still that does not mean that you can stay without doing the action itself. You have to do the action which is told for you. And while doing that action, what should be your attitude? That is what Krishna is breaking up and explaining to Arjuna. So he tells Arjuna that you only have the adhikara to do the karma. You don't have adhikara to expect any phala. You must not think that you are the cause of the phala, of the outcome. And this does not mean that you can stay without doing the action itself. You must do the action also. Now, we will wonder that how is this possible? Whenever we are doing anything in our life, it is always for a particular purpose. We want some particular result to come. We want some kind of an expectation. We have an idea that this will be the phala, right? So when we are saying phala, we mean expectation or outcome, the result. Now, can anybody do anything without expecting anything at all? Not mere mortals like us. It is going to be very difficult. And just like for Arjuna, it is difficult. So also, for us also, it is very difficult to do anything without expecting some result. So what is it that Krishna is trying to explain here? It is not possible for anybody to do an action without expecting a result, to do an action with no purpose in their head, right? So the implied meaning here by saying don't have expectation, what Krishna is telling is don't have expectation of an inferior phala. You have expectation of a superior phala. So what is this inferior phala and superior phala? What is the inferior outcome and the superior outcome? Right? Or what should be the goal? We have already seen in the previous satsangs that doing something because it will get me money, doing something because it will get me fame, doing something because I will get power out of it, doing something because I will be praised for it, doing something so that I will get joy out of it, doing something so that I will enjoy in this world, doing something so that I will get punya and go to swarga. All these are inferior goals, they are all inferior outcomes. They are low level goals. What should a person who is a mumukshu, a person who wants moksha, what should be his expectation then? He should have the expectation that by doing this particular thing, I should be able to have Atma Sakshatkara. I should be able to attain the state of self realization. I should get moksha. I should become to that level where I will get moksha and go to Vaikunta and stay there as a bhakta of the Lord, as a server of the Lord, as a dasa of the Lord. So having that kind of expectation that I'm doing this and I want to get moksha by doing it, that expectation is good. It is okay. It is acceptable. But having the expectation of anything else is considered inferior. So this is the prime message that Krishna is trying to convey in this shloka. So many times, why I said in the beginning that people are not understanding the full meaning of this, because we tell that, okay, you should not, you do everything, whatever has to be done. You don't expect anything, do it without expectation. But by our very human nature, it is highly impossible for us to have no expectation at all. So what the Lord is telling us is, you substitute, you have all kinds of inferior goals in your mind, you remove those goals and substitute it with the superior expectation that you want moksha by doing these particular actions. Now in fact in the Sharanagati Marga, which is explained or preached by Swami Ramanujacharya in the Vishishtadvaita doctrine, even that sense that I want moksha has to be given up, because after all you are nothing but a dasa of the Lord. So when you get moksha, it will happen by the Lord's will. It is not going to happen because you did particular XYZ activities, right? But we are not considering that aspect here. So for the purpose of this shloka, what we can understand is Krishna is telling Arjuna, you only have adhikara to do the karma. You have no adhikara to expect any kind of a phala. You should not think that you are responsible for the particular outcome which came by doing the action. And you should do all actions. Don't stay without doing the action. Now when you are doing, you have because you are human, you will expect something. So what kind of an expectation you should have? Do everything that you are doing with the expectation that it will take you to moksha, not with any other inferior kind of a expectation. So whatever action we do, there is bound to be some phala. So if we say that we don't want the phala, we are not interested in the phala, can we stay without doing the action itself? No. That is why he's telling, Krishna is telling Arjuna, that you can't stay without doing action. You do whatever action has to be done, and when you do the action, definitely as a result of that, some outcome will come. So whatever action you do, there will be some outcome for it, there will be some result, but you don't think that you are the cause for that result. So how can we have this kind of an attitude, that having a superior goal in our mind when we are doing some action? So the example is given by the acharyas of digging a well. Let us say there is somebody who digs a well to create a water source for people to have drinking water. Now, we can think in different ways. If I'm the person who is doing this activity of digging the well, or I'm getting the well dug by somebody, I can think that, oh, it is a satkarya, it is good for people, it will help so many people, they're all struggling for water, it will be good for them. So I can think like that. Secondly, I can think that, oh, by doing this activity of digging a well, it is told in the Shastras that we must do things to help society. So if I do this, I will get punya. Then when I get punya, I will go to Swarga. And in Swarga, I will have all the enjoyments. I can think like that. The third attitude that I can have is that all these people, they are all nothing but the place where God is staying. In all of these people, God is there. So if I do something like digging a well and all these people benefit, then the God who is within all of them, that Lord will be happy. And to please the Lord, I am going to do this action. So if we look, the action is the same, the digging of the well, but there can be different attitudes which we do that particular action. So if you see this A, B, and C, A is that I will do the digging of well because it is good for people. B is I will do the digging of the well because it will get me punya. And C I will do because it will please the Lord who is residing in all these people. So if you look at this A, B, and C, A and B thinking that it is good for people, thinking that it will get me punya, that will be an inferior goal. Whereas thinking that I'm doing this because the Lord will be pleased by my action, that is the superior goal. So now for Arjuna, who is fighting in the Yuddha, for him, he can have different kinds of attitudes. He can say, I'm fighting because I want to win the Rajya. He can say, I want to win, I want to fight and I want to win and I want to become the king of this whole Rajya and I want to enjoy everything. Or he can say, I can fight and then because I fight in this war, it's a Dharma Yuddha, I will go to Swarga. He can think of Swarga level of happiness. Those, however, are inferior goals. But if he thinks that Krishna is telling me to fight and I am going to fight only with the sole aim of pleasing Krishna, then that is the superior goal. So this is what the Lord is trying to explain to Arjuna. Now, this word which spoke that Krishna is telling Arjuna that you have no adhikara to the fruits of the action. You only have adhikara to do the karma. So what is the meaning of this word adhikara? So Swami Ramanujacharya interprets this word adhikara as swakiyatva buddhi. Swa, myself. Swakiyatva buddhi. The idea that I am doing this, claiming doership of a particular action. So that is the meaning of the word adhikara. So now what the Lord is saying, you have this adhikara buddhi, you have this swakiyatva buddhi, the idea that you are doing the action only while doing the action. Don't have the idea that this is happening to because of me. Don't have the idea that this outcome came because I did this action. So your thought should be, I am doing the action. At the time while doing the action, yes, you will of course know that you are doing the action. I can't say I am not doing the action, isn't it? Because we don't have that level of development of our Atma that we are going to think that oh, God is doing through me. We may say in words, but in reality, we don't get that emotion in our mind. We are doing with the thought that I am doing. So that's fine. Do it with the thought that you are doing the action. But if you are able to do that much also, it is okay. Don't think that this is because of me, this happened because of me, or this is what I want to be the outcome. Don't have that doership sense when it comes to the phala of that particular action. So Krishna wants Arjuna that you give up ownership. Whatever is the outcome of the war, whether it is good, it is bad, people are dying, people are surviving, you get the Rajya, you don't get the Rajya, don't be bothered about that. Be detached from the outcome. Only do your action of fighting in the war. So why Krishna is telling about this detachment? Because as per the Shastra, for any outcome, for any result, there are five entities which contribute. There is Paramatma, there is Jivatma, there is Sharira, there is the Indriyas, and the Pranas. So together when all these work, then only there can be one particular outcome. Now when I say I did this because of me, I can always say I did this. But if I say that because of me this happened, this result came, because of me this outcome was there, and I take ownership of that outcome, then what happens? When I say I, this is only the Jivatma. So I'm saying I, and I'm saying taking the whole credit, but actually there is also the other four factors which were contributing to the outcome. So my Indriyas had to join with me. My body had to join with me. The prana within me had to also cooperate. And most importantly, Paramatma had to give his anugraha. The Paramatma's grace had to be there for this action to take place. So, but it is our human tendency. When we do something, we claim credit for it. Of course, that claiming credit is as long as the outcome is a positive one. If there is a negative outcome, we try to run away by blaming it on something else, isn't it? Like, for example, suppose there is an event and I have to go there, participate in the event. The Acharya says, suppose I'm going to give a lecture and then something happens and I reach late. Then when they ask me, why are you late? Then I will give so many reasons. I will say the person who came to pick me up was late. There was a lot of traffic on the road. The driver didn't know the address where to come. And this whole place, this hall is located in a very complicated place. We couldn't make out from the map. I will tell all five, six reasons for why I came late, right? Now, suppose at that time, I feel that I am not responsible. All the other factors, the universe, people say, nature, whatever they may be. So they say that all that contributed, and because of that, it's not my fault. But suppose I went early to a lecture and I was there well ahead of time and everything. Then people praise me saying, oh, you have come before time. That's so good. Yeah, that is always my quality. I always go early to a meeting. I take care that I reach in time and all that. So then there I want to claim the credit because the outcome was a favorable one, right? But we must realize at all points of time that all the different entities and most importantly, the Paramatma is the one who is responsible for the ultimate outcome. So I cannot take any kind of credit for what outcome came. And that is why Krishna is telling Arjuna that you don't think that you are going to be responsible for the outcome of the war. You be detached from the outcome. You just do your action knowing that it is what is your duty and you have to do it. So this is how we must interpret the meaning of this shloka. Now, what can we learn out of this, right? We can keep reminding ourselves, like what Krishna has told, that I alone am not responsible for the result. There are, okay, even if we can't think that Paramatma, even at our level, if we think, if I do something today, if I'm, take some particular action and there is a good result at the end of that, there are so many other people who have contributed to that action, isn't it? There is nothing that I can do alone. If I did a particular activity and it turned out well, then in that there were so many other people who also contributed. There were so many other people who also participated in the event. Everybody did their part correctly. Because of that, it went on well. I did something fine, but how I got the strength? I ate some food. I had enough nutrition. So who gave me that food? Somebody grew, one farmer grew the food. There was somebody who supplied it to me. There was the person who gave me the fuel to cook that food, right? So any way you look at it, we alone, single-handedly, are never responsible for any outcome, for any result which comes. So keeping on reminding ourselves of this will help us to develop a sense of humility. And with that humility, we will then slowly progress ahead and ahead. So then we can learn to get detached from the result. Right now, we can't. We think we are only responsible for the outcome. It's okay. That thought will be uppermost in our mind. But when we get a little time, we must remind ourselves, keep reminding ourselves that, see, you alone could not have been responsible. There were so many other people who contributed to it. So you are just one small part. It is the work of everybody who was responsible for the outcome. So when we keep reminding ourselves like that, we will learn slowly, slowly to become humble. Then we can also try to identify, like whenever there is some kind of a action that we are doing, we have both kinds of attachment to the outcome. We have a positive attachment. Positive attachment means we want that the result should be positive. I want that things should go correctly. I want that everything should be proper, isn't it? Similarly, I don't want a negative outcome. I want that, oh, nothing should go wrong. Nobody should interfere with this. Everything should be perfectly correct. So that also is an attachment, that wanting something to turn out well and not wanting things to go badly. Both these are attachment, and we must recognize those. And when we recognize that, we will try to tell ourselves again and again that whatever happens, whether it is good or bad, let me not be bothered about that. Let me only focus on doing my action well. Right? Like let us say, suppose I'm, learning Sangeeta, that I'm learning music. Now, if I keep learning music, thinking that, oh, I want to become a great performer, oh, I want to perform on all these stages, I want to get all these awards, then what will happen? I will not enjoy the process of learning the music. And when those things don't happen, I will feel bad about them. But if I keep trying, right, and I think that my whole goal, my whole focus is only on learning well, then when I learn music with all my effort, I put all my heart into it, then the process of learning itself will give me joy. And I'm not going to be bothered about whether I get to perform on a stage or not, whether I get an award or not, isn't it? So, like that, we can try in small, small ways to keep our mind focused on doing the action with as much perfection as possible, not looking at what will be the outcome from that action. But then that is easier said than done, isn't it? So it's very difficult to have this attitude that I am not bothered about the result. So instead of thinking that I am responsible and it is happening because of me, let us see if we can try and at least go to the stage where we say that everything that happens is by the Lord's will. It is due to the Lord's wish that it is happening. So there is this famous story which is told, and I think it was Sri Ramakrishna Paramhamsa who explained this story in one of his satsangs. So there was one man called Raghuram, and he was a great bhakta of Lord Rama. Now, he was very poor and he didn't have anything much, but whatever work he did, he would do it sincerely. And he always had the attitude that he is going to, anything that happens, he would always say, this is by the will of the Lord. So if he was doing work in the field, he will say, it is by the wish of the Lord that I am sowing the seeds. It is by the wish of the Lord, and his Ishtadevata was Lord Rama. So it is by Rama's will that the crops are growing. It is by Rama's will that my produce got sold. It is by Rama's will that I got the thought of charging so much amount for it. It is by Rama's wish that I got this money. It is by Rama's wish that everything is happening. So he had inculcated that attitude so much that for every single thing, he would say it is by Rama's wish. Now, everybody in the village knew that he is a great bhakta of Rama and he has accepted that whatever in his life happens is by the will of Rama. So one day what happened is there were some robbers who came and they looted a rich man's house and they were running away with that loot, but the police were chasing them. So they got scared and this Raghuram was sitting in his house and he was just doing bhajan kirtan. So these robbers, without him realizing it, they went and hid all those valuables in his house and they ran away. Now the police came and they had seen these robbers entering the house. So they went in and they searched and they found all these things. So they caught hold of this Raghuram and they said, "You are the person who has robbed." They had not seen the who exactly was the person who was running away with the valuable, but they knew it was entered into this house. So they caught hold of this Raghuram and said, "See, you are the one. Definitely, you must be the one who has brought all this here." And they caught him and arrested him and took him to the king. Now, everybody in that kingdom knew. The king also knew that he is actually a great bhakta of the Lord. He will not do such things. And he knew all that. But now what to do? So he asked Raghuram that you please explain what happened from your side. Tell us your story. So Raghuram said, by the will of Rama, I was sitting in my house and doing bhajan. By the will of Rama, some people rushed into my house and they left some things there. By the will of Rama, the police entered the house. By the will of Rama, they caught me and they brought me in front of you. Now, by the will of Rama, you are going to punish me. By the will of Rama, I will take whatever punishment you give. This was the statement of Raghuram. And hearing this, the judge knew that Raghuram is innocent. A person who has accepted that everything in his life is happening by the will of Rama, it is definitely not possible that he would have gone and committed the robbery. So, with that, the king, the judge, he released this Raghuram. He said, "You are free to go. I know you have not committed the crime." And Raghuram bowed to the king and he said, "Thank you so much. By the will of Rama, you have released me." And he went his way. So, what we can understand in this story is there was one point where this Raghuram even said, "By the will of Rama, I was sitting and chanting." So even that, he did not say, "I was sitting and chanting by the will of Rama, everything else happened." Even the chanting was happening by the will of Rama. So like Raghuram, if we try to accept that everything that happens in our life is by the will of the Lord, if we try to see everything that I am just a doer, I am like an instrument, and you imagine yourself. Now we have so many instruments in our house. We have, let us say, I have a washing machine. When I put things into the washing machine, it washes the clothes and gives me clean clothes. Does the washing machine ever get the idea that, oh, I am washing so many clothes day in and day out, I am doing so much? No, it doesn't. Because by itself, the washing machine has no ability. It is when somebody comes and switches it on and does all the actions which have to be done that it is able to do its work. Similarly, we ourselves are not able to do anything. It is when the energy of the Lord is given to us, it is when the wish of the Lord is there that things will happen. So, with this kind of a spirit, we think the washing machine is an inanimate object, it has nothing. So, if you compare ourselves with the Paramatma, the Jivatma with Paramatma, then that is also a similar kind of relationship, isn't it? We are as useless without the Lord's will as the washing machine is without the owner to run it. So we must remember that this is what is our situation. I am doing these actions. Yes, I am doing them. Why am I doing them? Because it is my duty to do them. And what do I expect out of it? Nothing. I will either expect nothing out of it, but that is very difficult. So I will expect that doing this will somehow make me a better person, take me spiritually ahead, and get me to moksha. So when we try to do with that kind of an attitude, our life will become easier and it will be easier for us to practice this karma yoga, which is going to take us ahead on the spiritual path. So, this is what Lord Krishna is explaining to Arjuna in this shloka. So, again, we will look at the shloka. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. You have adhikara only to do your duties, the duties which are prescribed for you. But you don't have any adhikara, any rights to the fruit which comes from your action. Now, don't think that you are the cause for whatever result is coming. Don't say that this happened because of me, that happened because of me. So, does it mean, now if you can't have that attitude, does it mean that you should not do the work at all? No. You have to do the work. Don't be attached to inaction. Inaction means doing nothing. So, you should not be attached to that thing of doing nothing. You do what has to be done, but don't think that it is your right to expect something out of it. So, let us pray that Lord Krishna will bless us with the ability to have this kind of an attitude and do our actions, whatever it may be, with the superior goal of hoping that it will take us towards moksha. So, Krishna only has to bless us because, as we saw in the story of Raghuram also, it is only by his grace that everything happens. Rama's grace, Krishna's grace, whichever deity we are praying to, it is only by their grace that our journey will go ahead in a smooth manner. So, with that thought in our mind, now we will offer Kritagnyata. Let us offer gratitude at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna and Guru for inspiring us to start and join this satsang. And let us pray for their blessings and grace to always be on us. So, just to give an example of how today, now actually I was not able to get my new laptop. So the old laptop hangs usually in the middle of the meeting. So today, when I asked Zarnaji to record the meeting, she is traveling and she messaged me saying that I'm sorry, I will not be able to do it. So I thought in my mind that okay, I will try with the old laptop only. Let us see, as God's will, as Krishna wills, let it happen. And Krishna willed that it should not get hung in the middle. So here we are. And I have managed to record the meeting even on the old laptop, which didn't function the last few times. So let us offer Kritagnyata to Lord Krishna for that also. And let us learn to accept that everything happens as per His will. And pray that His grace should always be on us. Thank you everybody for joining into the satsang today. And we will meet again next Thursday again. So thank you everybody. Pramila ji, Zarna ji, Shobha avre, then Ranjini avre. Thank you everybody. Bindu. Thank you everyone for joining in. Chudamani Mami is also there. So we will catch up again next Thursday as per our usual time. Namaskar.